I heard a joke recently. It went something like this. The Oxford English Dictionary is planning to replace the word disaster with the word 2020. So, how was your job interview today? Oh, don't ask, it was a 2020. I wouldn't be surprised if this joke turns out to be true someday because what a year 2020 has been. It pulled up health from somewhere low on the list of our priorities and plonked it right at the front and center of our lives. Everyone, even those of us not from the medical fraternity, have started using a PPE kit and immunity boosters because we know that the only way to protect ourselves from the virus is in being more cautious. The pandemic has made not only our health vulnerable, but also our economies, businesses, and brands. Did you know that 6.8 lakh companies shut down in India till June 2020? Or that 6 million white collar workers and 5 million industrial workers lost their jobs in just 4 months of the pandemic? Now, all this begs the question, was there anything we could have done to prevent such a business outcome? Okay, whatever has happened, we can't change that. But going forward, is there something we can do that will, act like a PPE kit or an immunity kit for our businesses and brands that would protect it not just from future pandemics, but also from recessions, competition, changing consumer trends, or technological changes? I propose a model which I like to call the telco's model of immunity as one of the solutions. It contains strategies which I believe would make for a fairly robust PPE and immunity kit for any business, any company. Now, for the first part of the kit, I want you to picture this. Now, there's a brand called Brand Goliath. It has 4 employees, one each for finance, HR, marketing, and sales. Now, an advertising crisis hits the company, so the marketing manager needs additional help. She does not need an expert marketer. Even a non-expert would do, so long as they have passable marketing skills. Now, the employees at Brand Goliath, they have knowledge only about their own field. They do not have any skills or knowledge beyond that. So what does Brand Goliath do? It simply goes out searching for new people. Now, in all this searching, hiring, and training of the new joinees, the opportunity blows out of proportion and is completely out of their hands. So, all the money, time, and effort that Brand Goliath spent on the new joinees is also a complete waste, right? Compare this with Brand David. Now, Brand David also has the same 4 employees, but the biggest difference is that each of these 4 has worked extensively in cross-functional teams and collaborations. Because of that, each person in the team is not just an expert in his or her own field, but also knows enough about the other fields to chip in whenever needed. So now the same advertising crisis hits Brand David. What do you think will happen? Nothing bad will happen. Brand David will instantly divert the other 3 managers to assist the marketing manager. So at no additional cost and with the same number of people, Brand David will be able to respond immediately to the crisis as compared to Brand Goliath. Now, people such as those in Brand David's team are popularly called T-shaped people because they have deep expertise in their known chosen field and knowledge and skills in a lot of other broad areas. Hence the T-shaped people. In other words, they are jacks of all trades and masters of one or two. A company to be truly resilient should have as many T-shaped people in its team, in its leadership team as it can. If it does that, it will be able to do a lot more with the same number of people or with a leaner team. Now, leaner the team, more the agility. Greater the agility, more the resilience of the company, right? The second part of the telco's model of immunity pertains to elasticity in the 6 P's of marketing. Now, when a crisis hits, it's not enough to only have an agile workforce, because for that agile workforce to take quick actions and quick decisions, it would need the support of a flexible and elastic underlying structure. If the structure and the systems are rigid or fixed, they'll either break when the crisis hits or the company will probably have to succumb. The best example are restaurants. Now, most of the restaurants used to have a fixed rental agreement with the mall owners, with their landlords. When the pandemic hit and all the restaurants had to shut down, their income became zero, but the fixed rents had to be paid. For how long do you think they could have sustained this? Now, it's after learning this harsh lesson, restaurant owners are getting into fluid and flexible rental agreements with the landlords in the form of minimum rent plus some amount of revenue sharing. Let me give you another example from another P of marketing, which is pricing. Now, 3 students from the Taipei University, they have created a new barcode sticker which changes color and price as per the expiry date. So if a box of strawberries is 5 days away from expiry, the barcode sticker will change its color from the usual black to say an orange color and display 20% off. When it is 2 days away from expiry, it will further change color to red and display 40% off. Now, this is called flexibility in pricing. I'm not saying that for your systems to be elastic and flexible, you need to have inventions or you need to have huge technologies. You could do something as simple as adding gig workers and freelancers to your full-time workforce and thus make it fluid. All you need to do is take a proactive and conscious approach towards flexibility into your systems. The bottom line is elasticity in the systems makes for a fairly resilient organization. The third part of the telcos model, let's visit GE. Now, GE's healthcare division, it faced a huge demand for hospital monitors at the start of the pandemic. These monitors needed to be assembled and manufactured at the factory itself. Prior to the pandemic, they used to be assembled at the hospital. But because of the pandemic, if it had to be done at the factory, the healthcare team's factory did not have sufficient space to do the job. But its aviation factory had enough space for the assembly, plus it had volunteering engineers to do the job. The only problem was that these were aviation engineers. They were used to making power engines for aircrafts. They had no idea about health monitors or hospital monitors. But in the interest of time, the healthcare team provided training, supervision, and expertise to the aviation engineers. They quickly picked up the basics of the hospital monitors and got down to work. They started making a lot of prototypes and changes, so much so that they managed to bring down the assembly time from 13 minutes at the start of the exercise to 4 minutes over the period of months. Now, the question to ask is, what was it that enabled these people who had never worked with this product to not only make it, but also to improvise and improve it? I think the answer lies in their ability to pick up skills very quickly and to pick them up well. This is called the meta skill of learning. Now, the US Navy, it has a type of sailor called the hybrid sailor. The chief skill of this sailor is that he can master a wide range of skills quickly. They are always open to new experiences. They have flexible thinking. They are very adaptable. I believe that these were the skills that GE's aviation engineers possessed, which helped them master hospital monitors quickly. Now, for any company to survive any technological change or competition change, it will need to always have the latest skills in its arsenal, right? Skills change, they morph, they expire. But if you can teach your employees how to learn new skills quickly and to learn them well, then you are sorted. You will forever be able to adapt to the changing times. To do this, you need to expand your learning content that is available for your employees and use technology to ensure that the right content is delivered to the right employee. The next part of the telcos model is related to contradictory categories. Now, businesses face a lot of dichotomies, starting from should we launch a product or a service? Should it be in the essential category or the non-essential category? Online or offline? Urban or rural area? Now, all these questions are in the either or format. But thinking of these dichotomies as extreme ends of a spectrum will leave your business weak and vulnerable to sudden changes. Just think of all the businesses that were operating in the non-essential category. When the pandemic hit and the lockdowns were announced, only the essential products and services were allowed. All the others had to shut down. So the businesses in the non-essential category, they faced such heavy losses and a lot of them did not survive. But a relatively few businesses which had a diversified portfolio of offerings, they managed to weather this storm a little bit okay. Now the best example is ITC. ITC is present in the essential FMCG segment and it's also present in the high-end luxury offering through its luxury hotel chain. Now when the pandemic hit and hotels had to shut down, the hotel business of ITC lost 94.4% of its revenues in the first quarter of the pandemic. But ITC managed to recover some of those revenues through the rise in the FMCG business's revenues. It saw an increase of 10.3% in the same period. Every business cannot be present in every category. It's not feasible. I understand that. But what you need to do is at least have a contingency plan to address the other end of the spectrum should the need arise. Just like what restaurants did. Now, restaurants are primarily service operators. But when the pandemic forced them to shut down, they immediately launched meal kits and sauce bottles and cheese packs, etc. and quickly moved towards the product end of the spectrum. Thus, they managed to stay afloat and survive through this bleak period. I'll give you another example. A distant relative of mine. He lives with his family of 3 in Mumbai in a 1-bedroom apartment. Now, 2 of those family members got COVID, so the doctor asked him to self-isolate as a precaution. He did not have enough space in his home for self-isolation, so he checked into a leading luxury hotel in Mumbai because that was offering a 14-day quarantine package at a very affordable rate. Now, I found this to be very ingenious on the part of that luxury hotel that by offering isolation packages, it managed to convert its luxury non-essential offering into an almost essential one and thus earn at least some amount of money during this period. The last part of the telcos model is about the spends break. Now, Germany passed a constitutional amendment in 2009. It was called the debt break, wherein the government was allowed to spend only as much as it earned through taxes. Nothing more, no borrowings. Many countries call Germany stingy, but it was this stinginess or rather prudence of Germany that allowed it to announce a huge package when it was most needed at the time of the pandemic. Now compare this with Kishore Biyani's Future Group. Now the Future Group's growth, its acquisitions were not fueled or through equity as much as they should have. And because of that, interest and rent kept piling on even when his businesses were shut during the lockdown. This resulted in an accumulated loss of about 7,000 crores in the revenues, forcing Kishore Biyani to finally sell off his business. Now, if you want to avoid such a scary scenario, take a leaf out of Germany's book. Adapt its debt break into a spends break for your company, wherein every department and division is allowed to spend only from the revenue the company earns through its sales. Basically operate like a bootstrapped organization perpetually, even when business is booming, even when investor money is pouring in. Bootstrapping your way to growth may take a little longer, but it will be far more stable. Now, along with controlling your spends, I strongly believe that every business should have a savvy investment team. Besides investing in business activities, it is very important for a business to also invest in other avenues such as bonds, securities, mutual funds, whatever other options are available to corporates. Because if you do that, you will get an alternate stable source of income and your company coffers will never dry up. So if a storm hits, your company will have enough funds to be able to hold down the fort and allow the other elements of the telco's model to kick into action and show effect. That's it. That was the telco's model of immunity. And now your PPE kit and immunity kit for your company is ready. It will help protect your brand and your business from any nasty surprises that may come its way. Stay safe, stay protected. Thank you.